spiritual awareness. After Bailey's death, former members of the Arcane School created a host of independent theosophical groups within which hopes of a new age flourished. These groups claimed the ability to transmit spiritual energy to the world and allegedly receive channeled messages from various preternatural beings, especially ascended masters of the Great White Brotherhood. For example, Scotland Findhorn Foundation believed that its purported contact with a variety of nature spirits produced spectacular agricultural feats despite the poor soil and climate of the group settlement. Let's see. As expectations of the New Age increased in the 1960s, a new organization, the Universal Foundation, appeared. Its wealthy leader, Anthony Brooke, traveled widely beginning in the mid-1960s, predicting that an apocalyptic event would occur during the Christmas season of 1967. Although the event never took place, an international network of New Age groups emerged. While esotericism grew, its majority representative theosophy suffered significant setbacks in the 1880s. Blavatsky was accused of faking miraculous events associated with her contact with the ascended masters in the early 20th century. The Theosophical Society was hurt again, this time by a series of sex scandals involving its leaders, and Besant was personally embarrassed by the definition of or defection of Krishnamurti in 1929. Nonetheless, the society was a significant catalyst in promoting public acceptance of the notion of psychic reality, and conducted a program to raise awareness of other religious traditions among its members in the predominantly Christian general public. This goes on. Yeah, let me read this part, and then this kind of gives an idea of how they kind of beat each other up here. Let's see. In the 1970, American theosophist David Spangler moved to the Findhorn Foundation, where he developed the fundamental idea of the New Age movement. He believed that the release of new waves of spiritual energy signaled by certain astrological changes, e.g. the movement of the Earth into a new cycle known as the Age of Aquarius, had initiated the coming of the New Age. He further suggested that if people use this new energy to make manifest the New Age. Spangler's view was in stark contrast to that of Bailey and her followers, who believed that the new era would arrive independent of human actions. Spangler's perspective demanded that an active response and shifted the responsibility for the coming new age to those who believed in it. So this kind of goes on and on and on. And you can read this. It gives all the different names, and I kind of like this one because you can look up and get a little better understanding of exactly who these people are, who the players are. But anyways, so okay, let's take a look at something here. I know there was part of it that I just read that talked about, let's see, where was it? In the 1800s there. I think it was the 1860s, 1880s, that's what it was. 1880s, Blavatsky was accused of faking miraculous events. These teachings that were coming around at these times, this also reminds me of something else that came to the Western world, and this was around the 1830s, if I'm not mistaken. This was also the rapture teaching that entered into the Western church and caused a huge amount of unrest, if you will. It really just divided the church, and that was the whole point of these movements, was to divide and conquer, and that was what I found being in the New Age. And you know, though I didn't get into there was a lot of people that got into the crystals and all that stuff. I was just trying to understand what the heck was going on. You know, I'd had some different, very substantial experiences in my youth that I knew there was something supernatural. I didn't know exactly what that was. And so, you know, you go looking for answers, and one of the places I didn't want to go was towards the Christians. And there was a lot of different reasons for that. You know, I don't want to... Well, maybe I do. I guess I'll just be honest about it. You know, yeah, I didn't want to. Looking at Christianity as a whole, it seemed, from that view, from that vantage point, however small it was, or how I viewed it, let's say that perspective, it didn't look very good. It didn't look really very inviting, because there was a lot of fighting going on when you actually looked at it. And one of the things that entered in was this whole rapture teaching, which that then caused a division of those that believed and those that didn't believe. And then it got split up into pre, mid, and post. And those three groups seem to fight and have debates, literally online. You can go online and find debates between pre, mid, and post. You can also find debates between preterists and historists. You can also find debates on just about anything. Let's see, young Earth and old Earth. Now it's the round Earth versus the flat Earth. So on and on it goes with this silliness. And so the whole time I was searching for something real, and that's normally what a lot of the New Agers are looking for. So I have this kind of since I was one of them, and we fell into the groups. You're looking for somebody to guide you. You're looking for somebody who has the answers. There has to be a rhyme. There has to be a reason. Nothing. Why am I here? What's going on? What's the purpose? Is it just to, my whole ideal had gotten shattered in 2001, because at that time, my head was firmly planted in the sand before that, of just, you do the best you can. You pray at certain times, believe in God, but he's so far away that you really can't know him. And so church is just something that you do. You just go to church, and have some sort of a religion, some sort of a belief in something, because that keeps you grounded and keeps you some sort of a moral compass, if you will. And from there, you do good in school. You do what your teachers, those who are in authority, you abide by the rules. And you realize that there's consequences if you go outside of that. And as you get a little older, you start looking at college and what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And I need to get a degree so I can have a good job, and then married, kids, and then pay for the kids' college, and then eventually retire, and then you die. And that seemed to be the whole, without really studying history, without really looking at what this society was teaching. That's what you do. You get in debt, you buy a house, you buy cars, you try and do things that, have hobbies and have friends and try and watch out for certain things. And, I don't know. So many different, there was just so many unanswered questions. There had to be something more. And it was after 9/11, 2001, that all that was shattered for me. I knew on that day, and I've talked about this before, that on that day that something happened. There was a very real something. There was something supernatural about that day, and I couldn't ever put it down. And that was really, from age 13 on, I was pretty much looking at the New Age. And I didn't really know what to make of it, and I didn't go that deep into it. But it was, everything was pretty skewed, and I didn't really have a solid foundation to put anything on. But I realized that very quickly on that day that I had no foundation, and that really scared me. So I remembered the New Age from my youth being somewhat comfortable. Even though it was very uncomfortable, there was something about it that might have the answers. It was more of what I was thinking. And so I dove back into it. There was a brief period where I wasn't really anything. And then diving back into the New Age, I really wanted to know. I really wanted to know what was going on. And, just as this article kind of explains, there's no real set ground rules for this. They do believe that there is an actual coming of a new age, or an age of enlightenment, an age of peace, an age of love. And it sounds really awesome. It really does. It sounds, and I would think, for most of us, that's really what we long for, is an age of peace, an age literally of rest, where we're not looking over our shoulder, where we're not wondering what our enemy's doing, where we're not constantly bombarded by an enemy that literally hates our guts, but literally in a place of rest. And there seems to be this supernatural spiritual longing for a place of security and rest. And so, of course, the enemy would devise something that looks good. And even though that there might be some truth to some of the things that they're doing, and power and some of the things that they're doing, of course there is. Of course it works in certain ways. Of course there is manipulation. There always has been. But really, I was looking for something real. And when I looked at the Christians, it looked the same. That was the scary part. It looked the same, because we were all arguing with each other, and not, super bad, but, it was, this group is the benevolent, and then, this group of aliens is the malevolent, and it's the, oh my goodness, so many different ones out there that they were in contact with. And then, I was looking at what they called like gurus, or, what you would consider a guru, or somebody of a higher level that was literally making contact with these, what they called the ascended masters. And it was around that time that I was really wanting to make contact with one of these ascended masters. And lo and behold, that was when